Now we will take up motion number 1, Sri Ardent Miller Basaiawmoit to MLA to move. This House now discuss the menace of drugs and substance abuse in the state. Sri Ardent Miller Basaiawmoit, MLA, please.
Sir, I beg to move that this House do now discuss the menace of drugs and substance abuse in the state.
Motion moved. Now you may initiate discussion.
Sir, thank you very much, sir. Sir, at the outset, I would like to thank you for admitting this motion. Sir, the issue of drug menace and substance abuse has become a matter of grave concern for all the people in the state. No one would expect this to happen in a tribal state like Meghalaya. Sir, a stitch in time saves 9 could have been a method adopted by the government of Meghalaya to prevent more damage in the society. So, reported drugs-related crimes have really been the nightmare for the people. So, if one apple, rotten apple, can spoil the whole basket, you can imagine what will happen to the state if more than 2 lakhs people are in drugs, according to the statement given by the Director General of Police, Meghalaya. So, the rise in drugs incidences can be attributed to many factors, such as unfriendly procedure while dealing with those involved in the crime, leniency of the law, soft approach on the part of the government to deal with the crime, a change in the lifestyle of tribal community, absence of strong family bondage, degradation of moral and ethical values in the society, no more fear in the authority of the traditional Dorba, lack of parenting, deviation from the tribal culture, and so on. So, as of today, we could notice that drugs smugglers are very much ahead of the government in terms of strategies and plan on how to continue its circulation. I must appreciate the Minister for expressing his determination to tackle the problems. However, going by the media reports, sir, it is seen that cases related to drugs are increasing with each passing day. It has spread throughout the nook and corner of the state, especially in Khasi Jaintia region. So, this has instilled fear in the minds of the people. Drug users in our state does not confine only to a certain group of people. It is found that all sections of people have been affected by this menace. There is a classification of drug users. Some of them are into drugs out of their own choice. Some of them accidentally fall into the trap. Some of them are driven out of frustration in life, and many other reasons that may have caused them to get into the use of drugs. So, therefore, I strongly feel that if we are to conquer the war against the menace of drugs and substance abuse, the government will have to adopt multi-pronged approaches and take on this crime on a war footing. The government must adopt stringent measures to deal with this problem, sir. It must invoke stricter and harder sections of law to punish the culprit. The Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act 1985, through different chapters, provides the prohibition, control and regulation, offences and penalties, procedure, etc. to deal with the crimes. So if the government is using and applying these sections provided by this Act, sir, I am sure that we will be able to win this war against the menace of drugs. So the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act 1985 provides for Section 21, it provides for punishment for contravention in relation to manufactured drugs and preparation. Section 22, it provides for punishment of contravention in relation to psychotropic substances. So, Section 27, it provides for punishment for consumption of any narcotic drugs or psychotropic substance, punishment for financing illicit traffic and harboring offenders, punishment for attempts to commit offenses. So it even provides in Section 31A death penalty for certain offenses after previous conviction. So it also provides for the constitution of special court to expedite the matter, sir. So, and it also provides power of courts to publish names, place of business, etc. of certain offenders. So I feel that if the government can't apply these sections, like in Section 42, power of entry, search, seizure, and arrest without warrant or authorization, it will definitely deter the activities of drug smugglers and traffickers. So I would also like to suggest the government to set up many de-addiction centers in the state for rehabilitating the addicts. As I've said earlier in my submission, sir, that drugs user in our state is not only from one section of society. Therefore, there are many families who could not afford to keep their children in private rehab center. And the government must also facilitate the active involvement of the village daughter in the fight against this menace. The government must ensure that all stakeholders are not subjected to any sort of harassment in the process of tackling the crime. As of now, I know that people are scared to involve themselves and cooperate with the authority to deal with this problem as a result of the problem arising out of legal procedures that has to be followed as witnesses in the crime. This is the main hurdle why people are not willing to come forward and help the government in this fight. So I am sure that the government must fully aware the kind of modus operandi that drug smugglers are adopting, how they will convert the user to a seller and try to circulate in a small quantity through these addicted users in order to escape the law. However, sir, we know that great number of users can become great number of seller, and consequently a small amount of quantity can turn into huge amount of quantity. Therefore, sir, the government must seal all the loopholes in the system in order to ensure that steps taken by the government is effective. The government must be able to zero in on hotspots locations and identify the kingpins in this crime. The government, I feel, must also offer a reward to any person who can provide a kind of lead with the assurance that his or her identity will not be disclosed. So this is just the few important points, sir, that I would like to bring to the notice and suggest the government so that we can really fight and bring this problem to its logical answer. With these few words, sir, I resume my seat.